Coach Mallon, it's your turn. You get to come back up here. And I would like to invite Dr. Jim Shelton, who is our current head baseball coach, to come forward and read the citation for Coach Mallon.
Coach Mallon and I were talking a little bit earlier, and we couldn't believe we could get this many baseball people together on a night when Lincecum and Halliday were pitching. We're pretty amazed by that. We thought there might be a mutiny, but we appreciate everybody showing up. It's a great night for Southwestern baseball. Coach Mallon, I know the words you want to hear most from me are that I will be brief. That's what you like to hear most. Good was what I figured you'd say. I thought a long time about what words to use to describe Coach Mallon. And those of you who have tried to do the same thing, you know that it's difficult to put into words what Coach Mallon's like. You really have to experience Jim Mallon. It's not something you can describe with words. But there was one word I kept coming back to over and over again, and I do believe this describes him better than any other, and it's competitor. It's competitor. That, I believe, after coaching over 500 games with him and knowing him for about 20 years, is one of the most valuable characteristics he tried to instill into his players. And he wanted them to do this not only on the baseball field, but in the classroom. And more than anything, he wanted them to compete when they left Southwestern in their daily lives. Many of you have seen this characteristic on display from Coach Mallon in a lot of different areas, that competitiveness. Some of you may have played golf with him and watched him compete against the game and the course. I see here's some chuckles. There's been some golfers with him, I know. You may have officiated football, basketball, or baseball with Coach Mallon and watched him compete against himself to be the best official he could be. Some of you played for Coach Mallon and watched him compete against the other team. I've even seen Coach Mallon compete against some inanimate objects. I've seen him compete against rusty nuts and bolts on farm equipment, and I've seen him compete against faulty hydraulic lines on bulldozers. He competes against everything. Indeed, many of us have watched Coach Mallon compete against life itself. Whether this characteristic of being a competitor was instilled in Jim Mallon amidst the red dirt of Capps, Texas by J.L. and Gene Mallon, or on the baseball diamond at Baylor University in Waco by Coach Dutch Schrader, or whether it was just born in him, I do not know. What I do know is that for me, all the words that are on Coach Mallon's Hall of Fame plaque that I'm about to read could be replaced by these: Coach Jim Mallon, competitor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to formally welcome Jim Mallon into the Southwestern University Athletic Hall of Fame. I want to read Coach Mallon's citation to you. Jim Mallon was one of the most successful coaches in Southwestern's history during his tenure as head coach of the Pirate men's baseball team. After a 5-year stint with the San Francisco Giants organization, Mallon began his collegiate coaching career in 1971 at Southwestern. At the time of his retirement in 2004, he had amassed a record of 1,197 wins against only 601 losses for a winning percentage of .666. Mallon ended his coaching career ranked third all-time in wins for both the NCAA and the NAIA. His teams won multiple championships. 1984 was one of the high points of his career, with his team finishing third at the NAIA World Series. After Southwestern's transition to NCAA Division III, Mallon's teams won 5 SCAC championships and advanced to 7 NCAA regional championships. He was named NAIA District Coach of the Year on 5 occasions and SCAC Coach of the Year 4 times. In recognition of his accomplishments, Mallon was inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame in 1992. From 1994 to 1999, he had players earn NCAA Division III National Statistical Champion honors 6 times. 18 of Mallon's players advanced to compete in professional baseball with 4 reaching the major league level. And I have to add this, at one time, Southwestern had more players in Major League Baseball than any other school in the state of Texas. And lastly, 24 players earned All-America or Academic All-America honors. Mallon earned a BS degree in 1969 and an MS degree in 1970 from Baylor University.
Jim, I'm sure he has a few words of response here.
It certainly is a very special night for me and my family, and none of us will ever forget it. Cannot believe how fortunate and blessed I've been to receive this honor, and it's almost impossible to thank all the people who helped me get to this particular time in my life. I just want all of you to know how honored I feel and how proud I am to be a member of the University Hall of Fame. Mike, I want to congratulate you one more time on your magnificent career. Congratulations. Hall of honorees, inductees, congratulations on yours also. When I found out I was going to get this award, I tried to figure out how I got to this particular point in my life. First of all, I thought of my roots. You know, I came from a house where we had a phone on the wall that you cranked in the short, had 8 people on the party line, and now I'm on Facebook, I'm sorry. I knew it was face something. I'm not much on electronics, so I've come a long ways. I didn't grow up in Abilene, I grew up in Caps. Caps is a little town 16 miles outside of Abilene. It's a very small ranching community. The center of the community was the store where everybody gathered every morning. I went to a grade school called Butterfield that was named after the Butterfield stagecoach line. Grades 1 through 6 were in one room with one teacher. 4, 5, and 6 were in a room. 7th and 8th were in one room, and their teacher was also our principal. When I graduated from Butterfield, there was 8 members in our class. 6 girls and 2 boys. Boys, easy to get a kiss in 8th grade at those odds. I had great parent support. My parents are just like y'all are. They wanted to make life better for their child, and they did. They worked very hard. I also had great mentors in my aunts and uncles, and I'm very proud to say that all are in attendance here tonight. I'm so thankful you're here, along with a lot of my cousins who are also here. Jane's sister, her husband, and daughter are also here, and thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you being here. Growing up in West Texas is different. People out there are different. They're tough as a leather boot. Most of them are so honest you can shoot dice with them over the phone. They're hard-working people. They're just trying to make enough money to survive the next drought, because it always came out there. And I learned a lot from those guys that I grew up with. I watched them work in the fields and take care of their families, and you know, I was learning more than I thought I was at that time. I had a lot of chores to do on the farm, but I also had a lot of time to explore, to hunt, to fish. But most of all, I had time to play baseball. I spent hours throwing a baseball up against a barn, hitting rocks in a stock tank with a wooden bat, hitting bottle caps that I collected from the store. I cannot ever remember when I didn't want to be a professional ball player. That's the only thing I ever wanted to be. I never wanted to be a fireman, never wanted to be a school teacher. All I wanted to be was a professional ball player. That was plan A. I never had a plan B. Farm life taught me a great deal. It taught me independence. It taught me responsibility, be responsible for my actions. It taught me hard work wouldn't hurt me. Never put off tomorrow what you can do today. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Procrastination causes panic. I've kind of tried to use those to govern my life. If you know me, I'd rather be eaten by a campfire than have a microwave. I'm more comfortable in camo than I am in a suit. I'd rather be on the field than behind a desk. I never cared much for fashion. Why should somebody in France tell me how to dress in Texas? I love cold, frosty mornings. I like big bucks. I like largemouth bass. I like fresh cut hay and the smell of plowed ground. I like fast flying dove, black brings cattle, bird dogs, left-handed hitting catchers, pitchers with control, and I'll do anything to avoid a committee meeting. My life was on track. I was headed for Abilene High School. I knew as soon as high school was over, I'd immediately go to the big leagues. Plan A was still in effect. Everything went just fine. At the end of my senior year, 2 days after graduation, I get a letter from the Houston Colts. Not the Houston Astros, the Houston Colts. This goes way back. Got a contract with a signing bonus in it. I figured by the end of the week I'll be in Houston. Well, I showed this to Mother and Daddy, and they immediately said, well, this is not going to happen. You're going to college. I said, how can I be a big league ball player if I'm going to college? Well, I grew up in a time where kids listened to their parents and they did what their parents say, which unfortunately is not the same today sometimes, but that's another story. But anyway, I knew they weren't going to change and I was going to college. So I had an offer from Texas, talked to Arizona State. My aunt and uncle who lived in Waco knew a friend that knew Coach Schrader down at Baylor, and they contacted him. First thing I know, Coach Schrader comes up and visits me. Most of y'all have never seen a 1955 Studebaker, but I'm sure that's what he drove up there, and that thing was ugly as homemade soap, wasn't it, Butch? I mean, I don't know how he got from Waco to Abilene and back, but he made it, and he convinced my parents that I'd probably need to be a small, good Christian Southern Baptist school to be the perfect place. Plus, my aunt and uncle were down there so they could keep an eye on me. Well, my years at Baylor and Coach Schrader, I arrived at Baylor. Plan A was still in effect. I figured I'd be down there a couple of years and I'd be off to the big leagues. Remember, my parents sent me in an old-fashioned Baptist college. First scrimmage we had at Baylor, and under my new coach, one of my teammates got a hit and ran to first base. Well, after he reached first base, Coach Schrader went absolutely ballistic, explaining how many things were done wrong running to first base. He rounded the box at the wrong. What are you laughing for, Butch? he rounded the box with the wrong foot, didn't make the proper turn, touched first base with the wrong foot, didn't drop his shoulder when he made the turn, and didn't hustle back into the base. The poor guy came back to the bench and told me, and Coach McBroom said, I didn't know you could do so many things running 90 feet. I was in total shock. The next player made an out, and heaven forbid this guy made the mistake of cutting across the diamond in front of the pitcher's mound to home plate. Now Coach really goes ballistic. His statement was, if you're not good enough to get a hit and get on and help our team win, stay off the diamond. To this day, I've never cut across the diamond in my whole career. I go to Baylor University games, and I see their players cutting across the diamond. I look at Coach. He just red the face and shaking his head. So, I don't know. Well, after this, I was completely confused. I didn't know exactly what I got into with this madman. So, immediately I had two thoughts. My first thought was, since I'm at this Christian university, and if I become an atheist, will I lose my eligibility? And my second thought was, I wonder where you could hide a body in McLennan County. We were like all freshmen. We didn't know if we were watching or hanging out. We were stupid, and Coach saw the big picture. We couldn't have had a better mentor than him. He's the type of guy, I guarantee if you sat down at Christmas dinner and I called him and needed help, he'd come. Not only for me, but for any of his other players. That's what made him so special. I never want to disappoint him any more than I already have, and I sure don't want him mad at me. And Coach Schrader, you're the reason probably that I'm here. So thank you so much. So you think that story was bad? Wait till this one. Jane Baptist shows up in my life. Love at first sight, guys. I don't know if you ever had it, but I did. I saw her on Thursday, and by Friday night, I was pretty sure this is the woman I was going to end up trying to marry. Pretty quick. So we go to the airport Friday night, or Saturday night, Sunday night, she's gonna fly back to Louisiana. And I'm gonna pop the question. I already made up my mind, but all